Hi everyone, welcome to the Smith & Sons podcast. Welcome to you if you're in YouTube land. My name's Max Peterson. I'm the CEO of Smith & Sons. I am joined in the studio again by the wonderful Carley Rangen from Olive Tree Design. Welcome, Carley.
Thank you, Max.
It's such a pleasure to have you here.
So nice to be back.
And you keep us laughing all the time, and we truly appreciate it.
Oh, I think it's reciprocated.
Oh, yeah. It's a very good vibe. Well, I think last time we talked about biophilic design and not Schluter because I wanted to drop both of those words.
Oh, Schluter might wiggle its way in there.
Yeah, that's for real. But again, we want to provide our audience or our viewers with something that they can take away and think about, perhaps, or maybe not, depending on the quality of the content.
Yeah, they might shut us off after 2 minutes.
They might do that as well. And just see, because I think, we've always talked about the reliability. There's a lot of information on the web. Some of it's good, some of it's not so good. We just like to think that what we put out is reasonably reliable, right? That's our honest objective. But we're not perfect, so we get that. But
that in itself is perfect.
That is true. So this time round, this episode, we want to quickly chat about decluttering. And maybe even we'll just touch on budget.
Touch on budget.
Oh,
yes.
Budget is
it's a big one.
It's not a big word, but it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's close to everybody's heart. Everybody has a cap.
And you feel like when you meet with clients for the first time, you've got to cover the. I know we've always got to cover the budget, but decluttering, that's not something that I would have thought that you would need to address with clients. Tell me why you would address that with clients.
Sure.
And then maybe lead on to how you go about, deconstructing, decluttering.
How do those work together?
I'm not sure.
It really all depends on the job. So if you're staging, that's an easy one. You're
right.
Decluttering because you're trying to improve not even so much improve, just change the look of the home so the next homeowner can come in and have a look and visualize themselves there.
Yep.
But when you're looking at a renovation, decluttering, a lot of times people like to hang on to things. They don't tend to change.
Isn't that every human?
That's every human.
Okay.
That's a lot of humans out there. We're all kind of similar that way. Well, and as the years go on, you have gifts, and kids give you gifts, and then grandkids give you gifts. So you tend to have a lot of stuff. And we tend to not really know how to display it all.
So is cluttering, because you're talking about decluttering, which is the opposite of cluttering.
Well, I'm going to get there.
Okay. Is that like one step before hoarder?
You have to have clutter in order to declutter.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
But is the clutterer, is that sort of one stage before the hoarder?
Well, it could be
Is that
slippery.
an advanced clutterer?
It could be a slippery slope.
Right. There you go.
So we don't really want to.
I just want to clear
go
that
into
up.
the hoarding. That's a whole other topic. When people are looking for tranquility, clean spaces, having that whole. Again, we talked about this last time. People are in their homes more often. So when you've had a busy day and you've got stuff coming at you all the time, when you go home subconsciously, when there's a lot of clutter around. It almost feels like your brain is still cluttered. In the past, I've had clients who can't actually function until their house is clean. If they're at an at-home office, they can't actually settle into the office until the rest of the space is tidied up, put away, that sort of thing. So it's a bit of a psychological connection on if my space is clear, my brain is clear, okay, now I can kind of dive into whatever it is that I'm going to dive into.
So as a carpenter and a builder, my analogy for that is a clean building site is a good building site.
Oh, yes, very good.
So, because I like to declutter my building site.
But that's totally important too, and homeowners love that. When they have, they see the guys or girls out there shop vacking away all the sawdust, very helpful. Because a lot of times that just gets tucked away in the walls.
What amazes me is when I watch some of these HGTV stuff, and I do it purely for market research, I'm amazed by when they go to people's houses and it is full of clutter. There is stuff everywhere, and then you see them boxing all up. What's that TV show? It's called something Makeover. Extreme Makeover,
yes.
Thanks, Jill.
Yes.
Extreme Makeover. And they go to this house and it's just got all of their personal belongings and clutter.
Yes.
And then they give them back this wonderful house and all of a sudden there's late model furniture and no clutter. And I'm like, what just happened to all the clutter?
Where is the stuff?
Yeah, I'd like to hang around after the show and watch them complain and cry about all of their things that they've sort of gathered
Well, you know
over
what's
the years.
interesting?
Where does it all go?
A lot of people don't miss it. It gets packed up, put away, and if they're doing a major renovation, so say that's packed up for 6 months. I have heard time and time again, I don't even remember what's in those boxes, and I don't miss it. I was guilty when I was younger and kind of dabbling in the shopping and setting up, apartments or wherever you're starting out. I would shop and go, oh, I like that. And I would just buy it because it was on sale and I liked it, but with no thought as to where it was going to go or what I was going to do with it. So suddenly you have 20 items, little teeny tiny cutesy little items. You've spent the X amount of dollars. When if you put some thought into it and don't impulse shop, do your renovation, have a look around, and maybe spend a few extra dollars and buy that large piece of art that you were after.
But we have this saying, you don't know what you don't know. So you're doing stuff impulsively because you think this will be it. This is what I need, and because I would call that decorating by default, not by design.
I love that you have to have a term for these.
Well,
we're definitely coming up with a dictionary. So just on the note, one of my favorites is Twitter-pated. You get a little bit Twitter-pated when things are out of sorts.
Right, I'm totally lost. Did you say Twitter?
Yeah, okay. Different kind. Think of Bambi.
Do you use Pinterest?
Sometimes.
Okay, is it any good?
I tend to go to House more than I do Pinterest.
Okay.
Yes.
And that helps you?
It helps clients. It helps give people visuals. I can see things myself. Sure. I don't need it quite as much, but it's a good representation for me to show a picture to a client and say, this is what your space could potentially look like.
I never could understand why people couldn't understand a two-dimensional black and white drawing and understand what that was going to look like.
Well, because you can do that, but maybe not the next person.
Yeah, right. Yes. So this is why you like to use those visual representations to try.
Well, it's fantastic because so often earlier before those came out, people would say, well, do you do renderings? Like, can I need a picture. Like, can you show me what that's going to look like? So that's just a great way to go and say, here's a great color for your cabinets. We can Google it and I can actually show you what it's going to look like. So, but just even going back to the whole going into someone's space, clearing out stuff, it's amazing to watch people go through the process because you can kind of see they're a little bit uncomfortable. It's like, ooh, I got to let go of some stuff. That means change, and I'm not really sure if I'm ready yet. And then as you kind of walk through the process of the renovation, giving, their new selections, new ideas, they start to get excited, and then they slowly start to let go. And then you can see the excitement comes back again. So now they're ready for something new. They're ready for less stuff around them. They're potentially more open to having, the odd new accessory or art or furniture to complete the look of the space. So, it really truly is a whole process. From the moment I start with them with the deer in the headlights, oh my God, what's she going to cost us? To coming into the end going, oh, I see now. This is so much.
Because when we go, when we go away, and of course, any chance that I used to get to go overseas back to Australia, and most of the time we're on the East Coast around Brisbane, and of course there's sun and salt water and surf and sand and that sort of stuff. And so we stay in hotels a lot, and you really enjoy the decluttered nature of a hotel room. You go, it's so refreshing, so relaxing.
There's nothing there to remind you of stuff. It's just, it's calming.
And then you come home and you go, it's good to be home, but you're in amongst all the clutter again.
Yes.
So
well, and I don't want to represent, get rid of all your stuff. I'm an avid believer of coming in. And if
you can tastefully display that.
Totally. Right. And you don't have to display all of it. Sure. And if you have stuff and you're not willing to let go of it, well, maybe pack up some of it, put it away, and have a season with just half of it, and then trade it out. Trade out with your other stuff if you want to. So there's ways of going about that. Some people aren't willing to let go, and they don't like the thoughts of, oh my goodness, I'm going to get rid of a heirloom. But as I even say, going into doing a new build or renovation, pick your faves. Put money towards your favorite things, and we'll, ease up on other areas. Same is true for your stuff. Pick your favorite pieces. Often I'll go in homes and once a job is done, I'll go in and hang up all their artwork and accessorize for them or set up shelving and, do the accessories there. So I will say to them, pull it all out and then we'll walk through it. I just actually did one yesterday. pull out all your pictures. We'll go through them. Show me all your favorites, and then we'll place them. And then whatever you're left with, maybe you put those away for a little while. And then if you want to change them out later down the road, you can do that.
So that's quite a gift in itself. That you're very, I know you can stage, which is fairly generic, but to take people's personal belongings, which are kind of borderline, clutter, and actually putting it in an environment that is very tasteful and that is actually enjoyable.
Right.
That is fairly unique. I don't know.
Well, it is all about the creative part, and that's the part I like. I've gone into homes where they have big, massive walls and a whole bunch of little post-stamp size pictures. So then it's, okay, well, how are we creatively going to hang these together, group them, to make it more impactful? So then it doesn't look like you have just one little photo here, one little photo there. So it is being creative, and that's the part I like about it. And most often I hear, I've stared at this in this placement for so many years, I wouldn't know what else to do with it. So just coming in with fresh eyes and giving them some new ideas is
very
helpful.
Niche. Or is that a very...
Am I niche?
Is it?
Am I niche?
Very good. I got lots of words I could call you.
It's almost as good as vintage, as long as you don't call me antique.
Pedigree. I just don't know. I just don't know that it's a common thing. I mean, do you obviously market that along? When you're talking to people about the services that you provide.
I do tell people that. It usually comes up as.
So is that on the is that under the decluttering tab on your website?
Well, I was going to say I'm not quite that good. I might have to borrow Jillian.
I know a web designer that can probably fix that shit for
you. My lists.
Yeah,
my lists are growing.
But it's, I think there's a lot of value because we get people to it. It's why at Smith & Sons we do the design, plan, construct, because we don't want to just give you a quote on the building. We want to help you with the design and the plan.
Absolutely.
And I think, for what you're talking about, that's unique. I think
thank you.
Because people go, okay, I've got the reno done and then I've got all my stuff. All my clutter.
Yes. And
it's like, maybe it's a nicely finished place. It's got new floor coverings. It's been completely renovated. And then they bring back the old picture of Grandpa.
Yes.
And they're like, well, how do we tastefully put this, or do we just leave him under the bed?
Well, we don't want to leave Grandpa under the bed.
No.
We can reframe him. We can
bring Gramps out.
Yeah,
Come on,
bring
Gramps.
Gramps out. He needs to be a part of the family.
Yeah.
So, it is fun. Actually, I have shared this story before.
I'm going to Google that later and go, who can find my Gramps under the bed and stick him on the wall and make it fit?
My name will pop up. Oh, she can.
Olive tree. Booyah. Bam.
Give her a call.
Yeah.
Well, one of my faves was I had a lovely gentleman ask me to come in and help with some furniture packaging, artwork, and accessories. And so we got to the point where it was time to do artwork. And he said, it doesn't matter to me. I just want you to put stuff on the wall. I don't care if it's HomeSense, where it's from. Just make it look like a hotel or a resort.
Right.
And somewhere along in our conversation, I had learned that his daughter was a photographer. And so I said to him, okay, just a minute. Your daughter's a photographer? Yes, she is. I'm like, so would we not want to contact your daughter and maybe have some of her photos done up and framed? And oh no, and he kind of got a little bit upset with me because he wanted it done quickly and he wanted me just to do it and get it done.
Get out.
He ended up getting photographs from his daughter.
And
then later, 3 weeks later or so, contacted me and said, okay, thank you very much for pushing. They're awesome. I love them. So now he has artwork that's meaningful and he's staring at his daughter's stuff. He's not staring at, and bless HomeSense or wherever you're shopping, they've got great stuff too. But to have your own personal items there. And I will often have that conversation with people. Where do you want to spend? So going into budget a little bit, where do you want to spend a bit more? It may be in furniture if you don't want to do the big, heavy, pieces again for a while. Spend a little bit more there. If you tend to like to change out pillows, artwork, blankets, area rugs, well, we can, do a little more cost-friendly items there. And then bring in the meaningful things. Bring in your favorites. I mean, I've had everything from, people have, chestnuts from their walks, or, kids, grandkids made the little pine cone trees at Christmas time or whatever. I actually had one client's grandkids' artwork framed and I hung them in her living room for her. They were fantastic.
I think I'm a bit like that.
Yeah.
I've got a wife that probably doesn't hoard that stuff.
Yeah.
But I've kept a lot of stuff that she's kind of ready to bin, and I'm like, I'm going to grab that.
Yeah, you like it.
Yeah, I kind of do.
Yeah.
It's sort of like they're never going to reproduce. Dominic's 17 now. Pretty sure he's not going to make that pine cone thing
Again.
like. Hey, Dad, you want me to knock this up for you? No, son, we're good.
Not again.
You know, and so yeah, I'm kind of falling in love with the decluttering thing.
Yeah.
And then repurposing the.
Well, pick some favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally doable. Because I think somewhere along the line it was, some people have the thought that, oh goodness, decluttering means I have to get rid of all my stuff.
Right. Yeah,
I don't want to get rid of my stuff.
That's what I think of automatically. I'm like, to the tip, or to the dump.
Yeah, no. You can, And that's why I say, no. When you're unpacking your things and you're starting to go through, pull out the faves, and then I'll just come and help you set up.
So is there too many photographs you can put on one wall? Can you oversupply a wall with photographs? The reason I ask is because now I'm getting selfish. I'm like, we've got like 3 archive boxes full of old school photos.
Yeah. Well, so I will say maybe not, because actually if you covered an entire wall with photographs,
that'd be cool.
It make it look like graffiti. Add, pins and magnets, like add some interesting things. It almost feels a little bit back in the day. Remember when scrapbooking was a thing?
Totally.
Now you're scrapbooking on your wall. And if you get tired of it, so you take it all down. It's not a big thing. It's not
permanent.
No, and it's not a big commitment. So I am an artist, so I tend to say, go for it. Like, try it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, worst case scenario, we take it down or redo it or whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, if you're putting photos on top of photos, then maybe there's too many.
Well, that's a little weird. We need another wall. Find me another wall.
It's kind of like when I go in and I see paint has been painted over wallpaper. And then another layer of wallpaper, and then more paint.
You mean you don't advise clients to just keep laying it on?
If you want your room to eventually get smaller, we could.
True. She's
just panel. Just add some paneling.
But that's because I reckon that would be. Now I'm really getting selfish, and I'm like, because we've got one really big. It must be 20.
You're going to ask me to come over soon,
no,
aren't
I'm
you?
not.
Help you and your wife.
No, it's fine.
We're going to be doing the push pin photo
I'm a builder.
wall.
I've got this.
It's all good.
Thumbtacked.
Yeah.
But and it would be fun because what I'm thinking about is making it a family, because there's nothing better than looking back on photos, kids looking at their siblings and going, oh, you've got your finger up your nose. And,
well, I hate to say it, Max, but we are kind of vintage now because everything's on the computer, or they roll them on your TV photos, because really, how do people look at their family photos? We used to have them stacked on top of the piano and on the wall and behind.
Sure.
Not anymore.
But how often I've got all of that, a lot of that stuff that's on digital.
Right.
And how often do we sit there and click next?
Yeah,
No. So do we want to talk any more about budget as it relates to decluttering?
Well, budget, like I said, it's close to everybody's heart. Everybody has a cap. Doesn't matter, what your whole budget is.
Can I just back up for a second?
Bet.
Why do you, and I know why, when I'm talking to retail customers about projects, renos and things like that, why, and I know this is probably a little rhetorical, but why is it that it's important for you to establish what their budget expectation is? I mean,
yes.
let's just put it out there. I know it's a fairly straightforward maneuver to answer that, but just for those that might be scratching their head going, well, why do we have to talk about budget? Roll it. What do you think?
Oh, well, absolutely you do. Because really, there's so many options out there, and people are on the internet, and they're looking at pictures, and they're looking at ideas, and they are starting to collaborate ideas and wanting to see these thoughts and ideas in their own home.
You've got to run like dual purpose. You've got to come up with a nice outcome that actually then coincides or reconciles with their budget. Because otherwise it's the whole champagne, taste would be a budget deal.
Exactly.
Right, that's a problem.
And then everything that
Nothing wrong with beer, just by the way.
No, it's great too. But when we're starting from scratch and we're, say, doing a full new build, you're looking at plumbing, you're looking at lighting, you're looking at cabinets, you're looking at flooring, you're looking at interior door. Every time we meet, and that's what I usually explain to people, is we're going to do each of these meetings separately so you can focus on. So you're just going to focus on plumbing today. Yep. You're just going to focus on lighting, because then it's too scattered and it's too much for them to try to get. It really is. And I like having a concept or an idea is great. But when you're trying to take a picture and do all of that at once, people just get overwhelmed. So if you break those up, so when we're going to go do your plumbing package, sure, you can have level A, B, C, or D, or way over the top. I mean, you can have all your fixtures in gold if you want, but most don't.
That's a little uncommon.
Just don't.
Yep. We don't do that often.
No, not really often, no. So, I mean, there is definitely a cap. So being in the industry, being familiar with products, it's always that conversation. Okay, well, so downstairs bathroom doesn't get used very often, so maybe we're just going to put a standard package in there. Your ensuite, maybe we're going to beef that up a little bit, and look at maybe some nicer finishes for the taps and the shower. Because
usually when you spend, from my experience, when you do, especially on things like tap fittings that get used often, you do get what you pay for.
Oh, totally you do.
If it doesn't get used much, you can afford to maybe spend something a little more inferior. But anything that's main, that area is going to be used a lot, especially a main bathroom.
Right.
It just for longevity.
Well, and there's lots of great products that they don't have to cost $1 million, and they still will give you the longevity. It's just that, there's style comes into play, where it's coming from comes into play. And I will often, one of the very first things I will say to people is, before we even dive into this, start thinking about what your priorities are. Like for some people, it's a bathtub. For some people, it's their hardwood floor. For some, it's a kitchen. I mean, I've had, like some people will spend, $20,000 on appliances. The next will spend $100,000. If you're a chef and you want to spend most of your time in the kitchen, then let's put the budget in the kitchen. If flooring, it doesn't matter to you, then we're going to look at some alternatives. So if people try to max out on every single meeting that we do, they're exhausted, they're stressed, the contractor's stressed, the budget book is stressed, everybody's stressed. So that's why I kind of get them in that mindset. I also think it builds a bit of trust that I am mindful of their budget. I'm watching out for them. Hubby there can kind of relax and go, okay, she's got me.
Yeah, once you blindside him with the number up front, it's like, that's
and then
fine.
Once we do the
He'll
package,
get over this.
And he sees the total, he's like, I thought she said something about budget. No. But nobody picks the standard. So, it's the process, it's the talking. But it's amazing how you usually spend more, but then they're comfortable with it because they've decided where they're going to spend more.
Now here's what I want to reinforce. Everything you're saying is that it's all about really to get an honest opinion of the end result. People should focus on value. Because, if you're all about price, I don't think you're going to be as satisfied as what you think you're going to be if you're just grinding poor old Carley on getting the cheapest thing and making it do the impossible.
Sweating through the whole process.
I think it's like you say, it's create the priorities and spend the money where it needs to be spent and where you want it to be spent and somehow don't compromise as much as you can because we just know that, what we know is as people walk through our design process and our planning process, the goalposts move a lot.
They do.
We've had one lady that said, we've only got 25 to spend. We went to contract with her for 90,000. So there's a bit of goalpost moving there.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But because, as we walk through the process, I want this, and yes, this is not negotiable, and this is what I want. Yes. And so, but at the end of the day, it wasn't actually the fact that we jumped from that 25 to 90. It was the fact she got exactly what she wanted.
Right.
And I think that is actually the important outcome. And then you've got to balance that up with obviously available funds. So it's very individual.
It is, and it's very individual. It's very custom to each person or family. And the other aspect of that is lifestyle. For a couple who's in their 50s, 60s, they don't have kids, they don't have dogs, they don't have cats.
Lucky things.
So lucky. Not just kidding. I love you, kids.
They might not have encumbrances like on their doorstep all the time.
Well, it's different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so if you've got kids and dogs and cats and donkeys and sheep, you're probably going to put vinyl plank in. You're not going to put a high-end, expensive or dirt. Straw's nice.
There we go.
Yeah, it's got some
texture.
Change
that every week. We're good.
It's all good. Yeah, it absorbs. So your lifestyle
the living demands
is
are different.
Also different. I mean, I had one client, bless his heart, he was in the wood industry.
You know what bless his heart means? Is now that I've said bless his heart, I can
say whatever I want about him.
Exactly.
Just thought I'd throw that one.
Oh, yeah, I do. Bless his heart. Now I'm just going to drill
lovely.
you.
He pushed and pushed. He was so badly wanted hardwood floors. And he had little people, and he had a dog, and I'm pretty sure there was a cat in there. And I just said, realistically, for what your lifestyle is for right now, maybe you should look at an alternative flooring. So I think we ended up with a vinyl plank. And after the whole project was done and they had been living in the house for some time, he's like, wow, I can't believe how easy these are. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So later we'll give you the hardwood on your next, down the road build.
And I don't mind. I mean, we got vinyl plank here, and I'm like, it's so user friendly.
It is.
So I'm not going to go into bat for any vinyl plank, but
no, I like hardwood.
I mean, I'm a carpenter. I love hardwood.
Yeah, cool. I still love hardwood. It's just timing. So I mean, cost is definitely, budget is definitely usually right up there, close to people's heart. But it's your lifestyle. I mean, if you're going to put in white carpet, hardwood, you're going to be stressed the whole entire time. Family comes over. You're going to be wrapping pillows in plastic.
I was going to say, it's like when you go to grandma's place,
I was going to say,
and there's the clear cover sheets, and I'm like, oh, this is squishy.
I've witnessed that.
Oh, boy, I'm squeaking.
I guess I have.
Yeah.
I've heard that too.
The practicality of it is not really there.
Not so much. So, do you want to enjoy your space, or do you want to protect it?
But timing, I think you're right. It's, what you're going to spend. For me, I'm not going to spend anything because I've still got an 11-year-old.
Right.
And I'm not buying the wife a new car yet either for exactly the same reasons.
We're going down another.
Well, now that we've been going for 30 minutes, we could borrow another 30, I think, just on vehicles and kids.
Yeah.
Did you have kids destroy your vehicles too?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. Jump in with your boots, walk on the seats. Not a problem.
Shoot the pop wherever you want. It's
I'm
fine.
like, I just walk past Lizzie's truck like this. I just don't even look at it. I'm like, if you're happy, I'm happy because I ain't looking at that.
And I'm not going in there.
I'm not fixing anything.
No, and it's the mystery smells that used to get me. I know there's something in here. I don't know where it is.
It's a very special family aroma.
There's something in here that I probably don't want to know. You're going to cut all this, right?
Absolutely not. It gives our podcast texture.
Excellent.
And relatability.
Relatability.
Yes.
Awesome.
People are they're driving down the road right now with their head rolled back, looking at the ceiling, laughing instead of paying attention to the road.
And wondering, what the heck is Schluter anyways?
Oh, we're back there again. We're really overusing that.
It's just such a good word.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're done.
I think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Carley from Olive Tree Design, thanks for rocking up again and bringing some light to our day. We really appreciate it.
Very, very welcome.
I was going to thank you for your professional insight, but I think that might be overstepping the mark slightly. But it's been heavily entertaining, so that's actually more important.
Ah, very good. Well, that's what was the earlier request.
That's the objective. Objective fulfilled. Look, if you're listening to this or watching this and you've got some questions, or maybe you won't have any questions.
I don't know if there will
maybe
be
you've got some concerns that you want to raise with us. Feel free to email me at max@smithandsons.ca. Like, share, and comment, and we would love to hear from you in any regard. That would be entertaining in itself.
Sure.
And,
what's in your car?
So enjoy your renovation, enjoy your planning, enjoy your design. We'll see you on the next episode. Catch ya.